How you doing? It's been a little while since I've been here. My normal daily life has taken precedence lately, but caffeination, very important. Um, but what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about this whole thing we're doing with Scientology as a revolutionary movement, because that's basically what it is. And the reason that I want to talk about it as a revolutionary movement is because certain things going on. Scientology. All right, we got a new name. Hola to you too. Good to see you here. Always can count on you. Scientology. Um, Certain things going on with the Scientology protests are kind of mimicking things that go on with revolutionary movements in general. Um, and I want to talk about a few of those things and how in history there were revolutionary movements that failed or were compromised because of certain factors, and how those factors are similar to our situation. Hi, James. Um, and, just think a little bit about where we are, what we're all doing, and the fact that we all need to keep evolving forever. Um, so what I did is I went on Chat GPT and I started playing around and asking, what are some similarities? What are some reasons that revolutionary movements failed, and kind of what went wrong? Okay, so the first thing that came up was internal divisions. And anybody that's been in this drama for a little while knows that that is a factor. It's been a factor in Scientology protests ever since there have been Scientology protests. One aspect of this is that Scientology tries to create internal divisions through and anybody who is facing revolution, whether it's a government or a cult, they are going to try to divide the people that are fighting them. It's a normal thing that's going to happen, right? Divide and rule, divide and conquer. And Scientology is, Tori said she's responsible for many accounts that were set up to cause division. It is a real thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Tori didn't even know much about the internet. She was just kind of told to go on there and start shit, and she did. And luckily, we have her on our side now. And so we get to hear about the genesis of Scientology trying to use the internet against protesters. Really, really helpful to have that. Um, so here's the first thing that came up in 1871, the Paris Commune, where we had the workers and the National Guard against the French government. A lack of unified leadership and ideological splits led to ineffective governance and defense. Okay, so how could that apply to us? Well, in one way, it does not apply to us because we don't need no leadership. Okay, it's not about leadership. Hey, KT Peta, good to see you. And Hamps edits. So one of our strengths is in not having leadership and not needing leadership, and therefore not being so hierarchical, and therefore you can't really take it down, right? It's like a million bees swarming around you. Where do you swat first, right? And that's the strength of what we have been doing with Scientology. We have been those bees. And we've been coming at them relentlessly with our stingers. And thank you, KT. So the thing is, lack of unified leadership and ideological splits, right? We could be split ideologically. The only thing not to be split on is Scientology itself. As long, like, we can have whatever ideologies we want to have. We don't really need to all be in line with a certain ideology. We just need to keep our eye on them, the cult. And Chi, within Scientology, we also need to realize that they have their splits. Not that they're really allowed to talk about it, but knowing that they're trying to split us up, we can try to split them up, right? We can alert people to what Miscavige is up to and all of that. Now, the Russian Revolution of 1905, not the big one, that was the workers and peasants versus the Tsarist regime. And that got crushed by the military. Okay. Tilty, good to see you. And in our case, that would be the LAPD. That is the Russian military for us. So we have to watch out about getting crushed by the cops, right? It's probably not going to be the military in our case. But, the cops, who seem to be very much in the pocket of Scientology, they are trying everything to shut us down. But the thing is, not every cop is on board with that. Not every cop even knows what the hell's going down. And one thing that I remember hearing, Scientology, thank you so much. When, oh my God, now I'm spacing on his name. Our fellow protester emeritus, oh goddamn, Sir Crepitus. So Sir Crepitus is a former cop, and he went to the cops that were coming to shut us down and started telling them about Scientology as a former cop. And they were interested. So one thing that we need to do is to tell the police to Google Scientology. Talk to the police like humans, and just ask them, have you Googled Scientology? Have you found out about Scientology? You're going to be really interested. So, all of these things that they do to split us up, we have the power of truth behind us so we can split them up. The the police the police are going to do what the police are going to do, and the lower level people are going to follow orders, of course. But if we spend that time where we're interacting with the cops, educating them about Scientology in a slow, persuasive way, we don't need to scream at them about what a cult it is and all of that. No, that's fine, Scientology. Their eyes go up, whatever. But the fact is, I work on the principle of you can't unhear me. And you're probably going to go home and you're probably going to do a little research. You're going to go on your Google machine and you're going to find out a little bit. And now that, what's it called, Beyond Belief or whatever, is on Netflix now. Is it the first time on Netflix or is it just a repeat? I don't know. But anyway, we can direct the cops just like we do with passersby to check in and find out about Scientology online. A lot of the cops are they're just gonna laugh, right? They're paid off. They don't really give a shit who's right or who's wrong. And some of them are pure evil. And some of them are just there for a job and a pension at the end and hopefully, to make it through their 20 years or whatever. Yeah, the thing is, look, the bad cops that are corrupt, all we can do with them is let them know that we know and that we got it on camera, us telling them, so they can't say they weren't warned. And hopefully spark some level of their conscience deep, deep, deep down under all the layers. And, it's a long-term game. Like sometimes in revolutionary movements, the cops get to a point, literally where they are taking out protesters in other countries, whatever. And at some point they reach a limit and they're like, I couldn't do it anymore. And so they join the revolution. Now, I'm not being all unrealistic about the LAPD joining our revolution, but deep down, a lot of them agree with us. And so we have internal divisions. We definitely have that. That has been going on. And I don't really get involved with internal divisions. I prefer to look at it as that everybody has their role. And anybody else focusing on internal divisions, I don't even get involved in trying to make them stop. Okay, that's their trip, whatever. But I think we need to look at it, like I said, it's a swarm of bees coming at a cult. The bees don't need to agree on which direction to come from. Why? Why would we do that? If we all come from the same direction, they'll know where to put up the defenses. But if we come from every direction, how do you defend against that? So that's what we do. We come at them from all different directions. And as you notice, all you have to do is walk right up to them on the street and say, hey, you're a Scientologist? You're trying to bring people into your cult? What's up with that? And they run home. to the nearest org, Big Blue, testing center, whatever it is. They run home to, to cry, suck their thumb, whatever they do once they get back. And we stand undefeated. Well, Volcano, you are playing a very important role by being an observer. Not everybody can go and protest. And you don't even need to actually protest, right? Like Eric and I go out and put up flyers. I put up flyers all the time and stickers and whatever without filming it. I just take them with me wherever I go because I like to have them in little random places where somebody's going around LA, there's no Scientology anywhere nearby, and all of a sudden they see this sticker about sptv.space or whatever, or about the LAPD being corrupt or whatever. And that's the same swarm of bees theory. It's just like, it's everywhere. Okay. And now that we have this Netflix thing happening, where we're going to have more and more people interested in this theme, that's a good thing. And also, staying away from the orgs for a little while or reducing the times there. Yeah, the banner over the highway is awesome. Good to know about the stickers. I'm just reading some of these comments. But yeah, the highway thing, who did that recently? Some people, I think Mindy was there. Who else? I don't know. But it was right by the Celebrity Center. Really cool. Oh my God. That's awesome. White shower curtain and paint sticks. Interesting. Dan, Mindy, and Jen. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Mindy and Dan walks out. Yep. So yeah, that's something that we need to do more of because we can get thousands and thousands of people watching when it comes to an LA freeway. And we need to do different locations when we do it. Not always the same. And it doesn't have to be anywhere near Scientology. My new kitty is in the background there, trying to get flies. So, right, no Scientology, pressure to remove billboard ads. Yeah. So here's another thing. Another thing that makes revolutionary movements fail is lack of resources. There was an American Indian movement in the 70s that collapsed because of that. And so they couldn't really keep it going. And the lack of resources in the Scientology protests, when it comes down to it, for me, it's all about, do we have pro bono legal representation? Now, Streets made a great point with Aaron when I was watching him the other night, saying that he has kind of created a model with his lawyer where Scientology, when they sue us or whatever, that they could actually be sued for legal fees. And on numerous occasions, like with La Poubelle, um, they have had to pay our legal fees. Um, that's all beautiful. But if we get arrested, we need to know that there's a number to call, that there are lawyers standing by to help us for free. Now, I don't think that's a big ask. A lot of money has been donated, um, has been gifted. Dream on. Nah, I'm going to keep dreaming on. Um, so the amount of money that has gone into this, yeah, a lot of law firms have been afraid of Scientology in the past. I don't know if that's the same today. And I think that somebody who knows how to do this stuff, what would be good is to put a kind of put a packet together that would reassure the law firms, that would get them up to speed with so OPP, is that Office of Special Affairs? Okay. Do we have a little OSA guest today? Gimme, gimme. What's my end game? Always attack, never defend. What's your end game, OPP? What are you doing here? So this is something that we do need, and this is something that law firms need to get on board with this. ACLU, whatever, people need to stand up and realize that they can. Hey, Fluffer, I love it. Thanks, Scientology. Yeah, it's like, make your point, right? If we're not supposed to ask for help, state your case. Why not? What's the deal with that, right? No, I think that we are allowed to think about having sorry, I'm just trying to plug in so I don't run out of juice here. Help with what exactly? When Scientology sends their goons and creates a bunch of fake bullshit arrests and trying to get restraining orders and all of that kind of stuff, that we have pro bono cops. We have pro bono. They have the pro bono cops, but they're not really pro bono. That we have pro bono lawyers that can fight the case, and potentially they can get the legal fees for doing so from Scientology, but that we don't have to pay. That look, Scientology tries to Sonny Bono cops, that Scientology has as a strategy, as part of their fair game technique that they never got rid of but claims that they do, that they will utterly destroy critics. And part of their strategy for utterly destroying critics is to use the legal system against people to bankrupt them. And if we see, for example, with Streets' trial, this was a hearing, a trial, whatever, for a restraining order. And apparently, those trials or hearings are usually very quick. They're done within a day or two. There's not a lot to talk about. And the lawyer for Rocket did like a 6 hour summation or something for a restraining order thing when a normal restraining order hearing wouldn't even be 6 hours on its own. So Scientology has a very almost unlimited budget for crushing the critics. And so we need an unlimited budget for fighting back from that. Scientology has billions of dollars that they can spend on exactly misusing the legal system. Well, we need to have an ability to fight back. Adam, you make a very good point. Not going to argue with that. So a lot of what I see here about the previous revolutionary movements, it's about the leadership. But again, we don't need no leadership. Okay? We are the swarm of bees coming at you from every direction. So all the things about leadership are not really applicable to us. Sorry about my phone. So everybody remembers the Tiananmen Square protests, the guy standing in front of the tank and all of that. Well, if you do, you're different than most people in China who basically don't really remember it and aren't ever allowed to talk about it. And the point is that protest, that revolutionary movement was crushed by brutal suppression. We are probably not going to be crushed by brutal suppression. We don't create that vibe out on the streets. And so, they can't really send the tanks after us. But what they can do is send the cops after us. They can lock us up. They can put us in handcuffs. And so what we need to do is to have a way to deal with that. Number one, the fact that all of this is going online live in real time is a real PR issue for the cops. And so we have a real advantage on this level. Now, here's another thing. Most people, cops need to word clear flap. One thing that this movement has done really well. Hey, Eric, good to see you. One thing this movement has done really, really well is we've made it entertaining. We've made it something that people actually want to watch. Now, lately, Scientology hasn't been cooperating that much in keeping it entertaining. They know how to keep things boring. So, but the thing is, the more that we pull back a little bit, like Eric Rader, who's here, made really good points that, number one, you shut down a place like Big Blue or almost any Scientology location with one protester. And when you do that, Um, you don't need 20 protesters, right? One protester shuts them down. So putting up flyers is a great thing because another point that Eric has made many times is that, for example, at a place like Big Blue, you're dealing with the most brainwashed contingency of Scientology robots. And you're probably not going to change their mind by whatever little they are allowed to hear from you, which is almost zero. They might hear you yelling about Xenu or human trafficking or whatever, but chances are they're so deep in it, they're so indoctrinated that it's not like they're just going to pop right out into awakening and quit Scientology because of that. Now, what it will do, in my opinion, is over time, it will reduce morale quite a bit. And, it's not fun to go somewhere where you can't go outdoors and you're herded through tunnels, and you're under this pressure to avoid the protesters. That's not fun. But we have to also consider the specifics of Scientology. When Scientologists go and do an auditing session, they have to be in a certain state of mind to even be able to begin their auditing. Like they can't have partied last night, they can't have a hangover or something, and they can't be really upset about anything. And so the more that a Scientologist is preoccupied with protesters or whatever, the more they have to do work to get over that upset before they can do their normal auditing work. So I think that's a huge piece in us protesting them. So I think there's two parts of it. We can protest Scientology and we can protest Scientologists, and we can try to wake up the Scientology drones, robots, zombies in Scientology locations. And that's a good thing to do. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm also saying there's a whole other group, much bigger group, called everybody not in Scientology. Everybody that doesn't even really know that much about Scientology. And so we can reach out to those people. And those people are more important because there's a lot more of them. And so one thing from the very beginning, what Streets did was he was going after the people that they're trying to recruit and educating those people on, hey, it's a cult. Don't do it. And that's a great thing. And then Eric's initiative and mine and others of putting up flyers all over the place, putting up stickers and various propaganda materials to educate people about Scientology. Well, that's a really good thing because when people go around and they see these things, like with a lot of ad stuff, you need to see the ad like 10 times before it really starts setting in. But after that, it starts reinforcing itself more and more and more. And so that's a really great thing. So we have to focus on two levels. We have to focus on the level of the Scientologists, the Scientology org, and the zombies within. And we have to focus on everybody else, the non-Scientologists, educating them, the police, the public, anybody, anybody at all. Anybody who has not been indoctrinated into the cult needs to be educated. And we are the people to do that. And so, even if you are somebody that's never going to protest, you are somebody that knows other humans that you can direct them to sptv.space. You can tell them what's going on. You can share your enthusiasm with them. That's one of the best things you can do for this revolutionary movement. So a lot of what we are doing is a continuation of things that have been happening. You know, it's easy to think like this all started with streets. Well, this chapter did, and he is the godfather of this this version of the movement. Absolutely. But there was Anonymous before, there have been YouTubers, there was Tory, Mark Bunker, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on for a long time. And Scientology is not going to die overnight. And we can get all excited and then we can lose that excitement at any given time. Scientology counts on us getting bored. But the fact is, they are failing. And everybody can see it. It's clear. And so all we have to do is just keep this swarm of bees coming at them, stinging them, and bringing awareness and letting them know that when they let their guard down a little bit, we'll be there. Someday, they're going to have to open the Hollywood Testing Center again. It's going to be too ridiculous if they don't. I mean, if they don't, that's a good thing to laugh at too, so whatever. But somebody's gonna, I mean, they're gonna open it up. They're gonna have to do that. I think if we would stay away for 3 months, you know, we would create an irresistible need for them to reopen. And then let's say they go through the whole process of reopening. They scrape all that frosting, whatever, off of the windows, and they open up the blinds. They let the sun shine in. And they have all the people out in their cute little vests trying to bring people into Scientology. How long is it going to take until we all show up? And it's just what it was at the beginning of this year. A freak show out on the street. And luckily, all of their legal maneuvering seemed to be failing quite a bit. And so good for them to know that doesn't work. And so as we keep this revolutionary movement going, based on other revolutionary movements that have failed, a lot of these movements have failed because of issues with leadership. Okay, excuse me, we beat that by not having or needing leadership. And so by having no leadership, I mean, we have bigger channels and smaller channels and whatnot, but we don't have a board of directors. We don't have a president. And when you have no leadership, there's no leadership to take out. And you can't disable an organization through decapitation if there's no head of the organization. So it's brilliant. It works perfectly. So we're good on that level. And I think resisting having leadership is a good thing. Um, so what do we really need? Well, we need as many people that want to join us as possible. Absolutely. And doing different things, not necessarily congregating. Like, in a battle situation, you want to scatter your troops, in case the artillery comes in, they don't get everybody, with one shell. Okay, so some people are here, some people are there. Some people are putting up flyers. Some people are going to the smallest orgs in existence. And we have all these different things going on. And even that you are telling your friends to watch the documentary, the Going Clear, it is Going Clear, right, on Netflix. Encouraging people to, have you seen it? Hey, have you seen this channel, that channel? Especially Davey Mismanage, obviously. The highlight of everybody's YouTube watching day. But it's all of these levels. It's not just like everybody standing at Big Blue. It's that we have a scattered situation, that we have multiple things going on. It might not reach the press. It might not be on the national news. Well, national news isn't that important these days anyway, so who cares? But as we keep doing this, as this swarm of bees keeps coming at them from all different directions, it's just something you can't fight. Okay, now that might make their whales give them more millions of dollars for sure, and they will probably try to use those millions of dollars to crush us in various ways, mainly through legal expenses. But as we've seen with these slap situations, they could be in a position where they have to pay their legal bills and our legal bills. And yes, they do have the money to do that for quite a while, but are the whales going to feel like donating endless millions of dollars for that? Especially when they see all the orgs are dead, all the orgs are empty, nobody's joining, Scientology is failing on an epic level, and there is no way to hide that fact from anybody who's attempting in any way to find out about it. I mean, there is no hiding this. Scientology is failing. They are lying. Their main advertising message now is, are you curious? Are you curious why so many people are Scientologists? So what they're trying to do is fake everybody out into thinking that a lot of people are joining. Like, you better join too. Like, this is a huge movement. It's happening. Well, the fact is, it's not a huge movement. It's a dying cult that has never been that big anyway. And it's getting a lot smaller really quickly. And like Eric said a long time ago, there's going to be a tipping point, and I've said it many times also. There is going to be a tipping point where you get mass defections from Scientology. There is going to be a moment when a lot of people quit. Until then, what we need to do is we need to stay decentralized, and we need to get some pro bono lawyers on this shit. Okay? Anybody that can help out with that, please email me, davymismanage@protonmail.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to get going. This is a short one, but I just wanted to check back in with everybody. And I'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you.